Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
How's it going, guys? As always, we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 1 and Lance by Chance, written by Vinny Berry. We are brought to you by Super Vows and Pas de Deux, written by Kevin Kelton. AO Money Meech, Camouflage, When the Deadbolt Breaks, Buzzard Canyon, the great people over at Connecticut People Records, our wrestling commentary home of New Heights Wrestling. And today is going to be kind of a shorter daily content because I'm mainly putting out a video asking what the fans and watchers of this podcast want to hear us talk about. The 531 has been a staple from the beginning. We didn't want to do just the regular top 5 list. So we had people send in their top 5 list. And then we took all those lists, kind of saw who got the most votes on the subject, put that down to a top 3, and then from that top 3 we debated till we had a winner. And that went for a good long while, but after a while it became hard to come up with ideas for lists and then to get enough lists to make the subject worth it. So we kind of put that on hold till we could generate some more ideas. Interviews have always been a part of the podcast, but then sometimes it's hard to book them. You know, you get a variety. Like today, I believe it's at 3:30 our time. Dave will be interviewing Stefan Richard. He is a Canadian radio personality who is getting back into pro wrestling, and it's going to be, I'm very interested to hear it, because hearing, you know, somebody coming up in the Canadian Indies, I believe he's been to Japan. You know, I love hearing all these wrestlers' stories, and we get it through all the interviews. The Combat Cast has been a staple since Chevy joined us, and that's gotten me more into MMA and, you know, gotten to pull away a little bit from the wrestling focus of the show. And an AEW review has been there pretty much. I think we started that regularly earlier this year. And that's been the easiest subject for us to put together. That in the top 5 of the week. Now, we've tried news, but back when we were trying it, we'd record the news of that week and then it would come out a week later. That's before we did these live, you know, daily contents and things like that. So news could creep its way back into these segments. We've tried debate segments, but like, I don't know, the AEW review we kind of fell into. That's what we were doing on our live show. And then to save ourselves some time, we've kind of put the live show on hold. We'd love to get back to it because we're happy to be a part of the buzz, but the live show was just one extra thing we were doing on Saturdays, and with everybody having day jobs, it's kind of nice just to have a day to relax. We've had the Brewcast. We were doing that when we were getting together in person, but then COVID kind of spiked again, so we got away from that. I'd love to do another Brewcast. The Comedy Cast, that was another thing that got put on hold just because of time constraints, you know, and when we put out products, we don't want to put out something forced or something that feels half-assed. And some of the comedy cast, we were just struggling to get done time-wise, so we kind of consolidated our efforts. The music cast, something I plan on doing more of. I've talked to Enemy the Illest, a guy I've been friends with since high school and have enjoyed his music for years, and I'm hoping to get that out at some point. We got to get that recorded. Same with Strife bringing chaos, and I want ideally maybe get him and Enemy at the same time. Now, segments I've been thinking about. I've been considering book reviews. We reviewed it yesterday, and I'd like to kind of get in depth a little bit on some books, maybe tell you more about why I like it. Like the way I told you about the way Backlund described the title transfer, I'd maybe like to have examples of that and like not give away the book, but just dig into some of the more interesting passages that I've heard or read. Now, I'm putting it up to you guys. Would you like to hear classic show reviews or classic match reviews? I believe I've talked with this to Dave about this, and he believes that the classic match reviews would be easier because it's like less time we have to devote to watching it. I think classic show reviews, because if you do it once a week, you could probably knock out a whole show within that week. But what would you guys like to hear? And we'll see if we can make it work time wise. Now, wrestling related music reviews. There are bands. Smoke DZA put out the Ringside series for a while before WrestleManias. You've got Eat the Turnbuckle. You've got wrestling references popping up in music all across genres. So that could be another subject. Let us know if you'd like to hear that. And the last one is wrestling documentary reviews. I bought a whole collection of wrestling documentaries. I think there's got to be like 20 on there. Would you like to hear us review wrestling documentaries? Now, that's really all I got. I kind of wanted to put out things we've done, things we've tried, and then things I'm thinking about going forward. But let us know in the comments, get a hold of us on social media. Let us know what you would like to hear us cover, and we will talk to you later.